All right, everyone, if you're watching this, thank you. Uh, I need to share screen. So this is going to be a really quick video workshop, virtual today. About keys to being a successful founder. How do good entrepreneurs think and act? Um, if this were in person, this would be much more involved. I'd probably ask you questions. We get a little bit more critical, but since this is just a recording for you to watch, I'm going to try and go through it actually quite fast because I know how short your attention spans are. Um, and there's some good lessons in here, some good tidbits in here. So let's go. In this job, I've been so lucky to now work with literally hundreds of IU founders, hundreds of student founders. And the most successful ones have a lot of things in common. You start to just pick up on these trends. What are the things that successful entrepreneurs do? What are the things that they all just seem to know, like common sense? Um, and yeah, I've documented some of them. These are by no means all the answers. These are just some things that I think a lot of people would agree are essential 101 mindsets of entrepreneurs who are successful. So let's dive right in. I'd ask you to brainstorm them, but this is once again a video. Number one, I think it's fitting. I think it's fitting that we start here. I think this is truly number one. You start with a problem. Uh, Long story short, it is essential that people care about what you're trying to make. And almost the ubiquitous way for them to care is if you're solving a problem for them. A lot of people start with the idea, I want to make an app for these people to do this. But that is completely missing the ball. You have to start with the problem. And really, the only way to start with the problem is to know that that problem is real. The only way to know that problem is real is if you get people to independently tell you that that's real or indicate in some way that they have this problem. So, good entrepreneurs will always talk to people and do what's called pain probing to discover a problem, and that problem should be the whole foundation upon which your entire startup starts with. Eventually, you might be solving a myriad of problems, big and small, but typically, a good startup starts with a very specific problem that you're solving. And just a little tidbit, make sure that it's the right problem. Just solving a problem actually isn't enough. Once you identify a problem, you have to know if people actually care enough to pay money to solve it. You know, there's no access to good tennis courts in my neighborhood, and so I'll pay a premium membership to this tennis court that guarantees to always have an available court. I don't know. I'm never going to pay all this extra money for a tennis court if I don't have a problem of needing access to tennis courts or needing nice tennis courts because the ones I have are bad. Whatever. There needs to be a core problem. And you need to make sure that that is so the way that we make sure it's big enough is we consider, is it a migraine or a headache? Headaches are a problem, but they don't change life that much in the sense that if you have a headache, it's usually like boo-hoo, you just have to take a Tylenol and still go to class. You can't just pause your life because you have a little headache. It's a real problem, but it's minor. You get through it. But if you have a migraine, if anyone here has had migraines, you are miserable and you have to change your entire behavior. You might get a specialist appointment at a doctor to discuss your migraines. You might get put on medications. You might take a day off of work just to try and recuperate. You might have to shut down whatever you're doing and just rest in a dark room. That is a problem that you have to change your behavior to address, which is the type of problem that you want to solve. Because if you can solve a migraine, people will pay money for it, right? So the goal here is to try and find people who are actively trying to solve the problem. If it's a problem that they aren't doing anything about, it might not be a big enough deal. They might say, "Oh, I've got this problem." You're like, "Oh, what do you do about it?" They're like, "Yeah, I just deal with it." That might mean that the problem's not that huge of a deal. Um, yeah, this is like a little challenge. Once again, this is a recording, so we're not gonna do this. Number two, build fast and iterate faster. Uh, the best entrepreneurs do not try and perfect things. That is like the nightmare enemy of an entrepreneur, is to try and get something perfect. What we care about is speed, going fast. If you spend, if I gave you two options, you could spend a whole year building this machine, right? It'd take you a whole year, but you will get the machine and it'll fully work. It'll be all polished. It might take you 20 grand, but boom, you got the machine. Or I'll give you 1 day and you make a 3D image of it on ChatGPT and then explain to people what the machine is and try and get them to pre-order the machine with money, right? We just wasted a whole year here, and people might not even like your idea. But over here, in a single day, I'm getting feedback on, oh, the machine actually needs this, and it actually needs this. So before I build it, let me change the idea. Let me show it back to them. How about this? Oh, wait, it's still too much. It's going to cost too much. We need to reduce it. Okay, let me iterate it. Boom, this. What about, and you might go from like a baseball bat to a broom or something, in all the iterations that you make. When you make something quick and fast, get feedback on it, improve it or adjust it so that way it matches the feedback, put it back out there, and that's the cycle you want to compete because you might have 52 weeks of 52 iterations of an idea, which will get you leaps and bounds further if you had to take an entire year just to test that idea. So build fast and iterate faster. A common quote is that you should be embarrassed of the first product you put into the market. I know I've been there. This one should be, it's kind of obvious. It's kind of maybe cliche, but it is so real. Time and discipline. Showing up every day or working consistently and disciplined does not guarantee that you will be successful. But there is nobody who is successful who does not show up every day, right? So discipline is like a prerequisite, and putting in the time is a prerequisite. If you're not putting in the time, you don't even have a chance, you know? It has to be done. It has to happen. You have to have discipline, or else, you know, you don't even have a chance. It would be like trying to make a basket on a 3-point shot, but there's not even a rim or a net. You're throwing the ball up, but there's nothing there. There's nothing for it to connect with. It's impossible. So, but I understand you are college students, most of you. So that means something different for you. You obviously can't put in 70 hours a week on this. You have class, you have a life, whatever. So I think just being consistent in training this discipline will do absolute wonders for you. Can you put just 1 hour a day towards a goal that you have, an idea? Can you just do 1 hour a day? If you do, I promise you it will be transformational. Successful entrepreneurs are always learning. Uh, Curiosity is the name of the game. You constantly want to be questioning and understanding why things work. Why are we doing things this way? Uh, Specifically curious about your users and how they think, how they use your product. Always looking to just learn more about what's happening. Basically, essentially, entrepreneurship and the world of innovation is so fast moving. And if I learned everything about entrepreneurship today, we might see this in examples. We might see this happen plenty of times. Like the guy who's ran his business for 30 years. And yeah, he's a super successful millionaire in his business, but he doesn't know a thing about how to run a startup today. He had like a paper company for 30 years and he's forgotten where the state of the world is at today and how business is done today. What I mean by that is that no place is that more true than entrepreneurship. You always have to be on top and learning of who are the new players in the market, what are the solutions, what are the new tools at my disposal. To constantly be learning, and you'll never have the answers because the answers change every day. This is huge, humongous. You have to embrace failure. Failure is an opportunity to learn and iterate. Uh, Failing forward is something that you will hopefully hear a lot and experience a lot. this goes hand in hand with iterate fast, go fast and speed because it's inevitable that the first shot you take is probably going to be a miss. And so you have to take a shot and realize that you didn't push the basketball hard enough or whatever. And then your second shot might be better. And then it's all those failures and what you learn from them that allows you to get closer to your goal. And if you fail the correct way, meaning trying, learning what didn't go right, improving it, and then iterating it, stopping what needs to be stopped because it failed impossibly, and persevering because your failure was close to success, etc., etc. Failure is a tool. And most importantly, it's not like we want to lose. It's not like we want to. It's not like we want to fail. Failing is never the goal. Failing is never going to be fun. Failing is never, what we're going for. However, it is the fear of failing. It is the fear that you will fail that prevents you from trying or doing or acting faster. It is that fear which will smother your chances at being a successful entrepreneur. So instead of being afraid of failure, let's just welcome it. Let's embrace it. Let's celebrate it as something that we can learn from rather than be crippled by the fear of it. Embrace failure. Actually, one more on failure. I love this quote. I love this quote. I think it was Miyamoto Musashi. Um, I may have flubbed the name up a little bit, but it was a samurai who said that the master has failed more times than the novice has ever attempted. Let that sink in. It's obvious when you think about it. Michael Jordan has missed tremendously more basketball shots. He has turned the ball over, meaning he messed up in basketball tremendously more times, infinitely more times than like 99% of the world has ever even tried the thing, right? It's just part of life. Embrace failure. Let's move on. Good entrepreneurs build their community. Yeah, this is huge. What do we mean by that? That sounds so cliche. Build your community. Life is a people game. We're all in a people business, right? This whole thing is about people. Every ounce of it. Your customers are people. You're a person. Your employees are people. Your peers are people. Nothing is going to get accomplished in anything if not for through the connections of people that we harbor. What do I mean by that? I mean that having mentors, having peers, having friends, having others who you engage with entrepreneurially is like a superpower hack. And once again, it sounds so obvious in hindsight. If I were like wanting to be the world's best golf player, and I spent all my time hanging around poker players, what am I doing? I'm gonna learn a lot about poker, but that doesn't matter. I don't want to do poker. Surround yourself with people who know more than you about the thing you want to know about. Entrepreneurship. What is that? Mentors, advisors. Surround yourself with people who know as much as you and are learning and actively participating in the entrepreneur's journey alongside you, your peers. Learn from people who want the thing you're trying to solve, your customers. If you build community around all aspects of your life and surround yourself with people, uh, you are setting yourself up for success. And very few entrepreneurs succeed in a vacuum, and usually it's people who already have it figured out because they've already succeeded because they already built community, right? Um, Huge. Why is this important, by the way? You're a part of a community. You're an IU Innovates. There are dozens of people doing exactly what you're trying to do. And if you all befriend one another, build together, learn from each other, the world is literally your oyster. Genuinely. Um, Successful entrepreneurs are user obsessed. I hope that this already has come through. I'm not going to spend that much time on this, but like you will just learn. It will, if any of this, by the way, if any of this feels obvious, common sense, That's wonderful. It means you're already starting to learn and think like an entrepreneur. Or maybe you intuitively think like one. But I promise you, people get these things wrong all the time. And when you talk to experienced entrepreneurs, they become common sense things. So, yeah. Hopefully, this is common sense already. But if it's not, I promise you, the most admirable entrepreneurs are like talking to their users, prospective users constantly. They're your lifeblood. If they don't want what you're doing, you got nothing. It's like showing up every day. Without the user, you're completely helpless. So be user obsessed. That's a nice one. I like this one. It's about having a powerful toolkit. See? There's this thing in this book called Originals by Adam Grant, where basically they found that people who are successful entrepreneurs and innovators were more likely to have Google Chrome than Safari. Seems random, right? But the reason is, maybe not what you're intuiting. It's not just because Safari sucks and Google Chrome is better. In fact, I'm sure there's arguments to be made about either one. Really not that huge of a difference. The main reason that people use Google Chrome were better was because they were intentionally choosing a tool. Safari came default on the iPhone. So people who are using Safari are just using whatever was handed them. They're not like going and looking for the best thing for them. But people who use Google Chrome, they got Safari, but they made an active choice to look into the right tool. And they go through this extra step of downloading and implementing Google Chrome into their phone, right? That's just to say that people who implement tools to make their life easier, more efficient, more effective, are just working way faster. And so entrepreneurs should not just be using a pen and paper notepad and like their own thoughts or whatever. You know what I mean? Like find tools that help you operate more effectively. There's so many tools out there that people use. Don't drown in them. Don't use them just to use them. But if there's things you're doing that could be made, you know, there's just so many variables. Find a good tool. Yeah. Uh, this one's important. Successful founders know that if they burn themselves out, then everything crumbles, basically. Now, as a founder, you are going to get burnt out. You are going to be stressed, and you are going to have miserable days. But you will find that it is those miserable days in which you are doing the worst and not accomplishing anything. So, even though it's inevitable that you're going to struggle, you have to take an active participation in making sure you are doing well to yourself to avoid that as much as possible. Because if it's overly likely that you are going to burn out, then you have to go above and beyond to, prevent that. So be healthy. Sleep is always more important than another slide deck or whatever you're working on. Eat well, exercise. Don't be harsh on yourself. Too harsh on yourself. Keep your mind and body healthy, and I promise you, you'll be a better founder. Even if it might not always make the most sense, maybe there's this thing where important life event or important business event, and sometimes you just got to take the life event or whatever is going to make you be healthy, not kill yourself and burn yourself out working so hard. You know what I mean? Entrepreneurs do. Uh, Best way I can describe this is with a story. I met this founder one time. We had a nice little conversation. We were like, "This is great. I'd love to talk to you more." Because there was something we were talking about that could be resolved if we talk more about it. He said, "That's great. I agree. We should talk more. How about tomorrow morning at 10?" I just kind of smiled because I knew he's an entrepreneur. Because as soon as an entrepreneur has something that they need to do, the first thing they ask themselves is like, how soon can I do this? We don't put out an idea and just, oh, that's a good idea. Let's do that. It's like, oh, here's an idea. I'm going to schedule time where I'm going to go talk to this person to move this idea forward. Um, they do not think they do, right? Doing is so important. Sounds so obvious, but I mean it's truly so important to understand the significance of doing. They avoid classic mistakes. What do we talk about? Fear of failure, chasing fake progress. This could be like, oh, I've got investors, but my company sucks, or I won this award, but I don't have any users. There's fake progress. People always chase it because it feels good. It feels good to know you won. It feels good to get investment. It feels good to whatever. But really, all that matters is that you're making something that users want and that they're using it and buying it. Uh, neglecting the whole go to market, meaning, oh, if I just build it and it's good, people will use it. No, even an amazing product needs go to market. Point is, there's so many classic mistakes, so many of them. And you can save yourself so much time by avoiding them. And how do you avoid them? You find people who have already made them and you learn from those people. I'm one of these people. I've made countless mistakes. I've basically messed up every single slide that I've showed you in this whole presentation. Business advisors, mentors, peers, all of these people who have a little bit more experience or have done things you haven't done have made these mistakes and you can learn from them. So do yourself a favor and find a mentor, talk to peers, etc. Last but not least, you know why. He who knows his why can endure any how. Sounds, like a poster in a classroom, but it's very real. If you know why you're doing what you're doing, then you can find the strength to persevere in it. Once again, it sounds so high level. I don't want to turn it into a philosophy debate, especially because I'm one person, so that would just be like insanity. Because there's no one here, it's just a video. So instead of postulate on this, I will just tell you to consider your why. There are so many times where I'm at the bottom of the barrel, or I'm doing great, I'm doing bad, whatever. And I ask myself, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I believe in the company. Great. I'm doing this because I know the product. I'm doing this because I want, well, I mean, there's a bunch of reasons, but know why. Have a good answer. If it's not a great answer, move on. Try something new. I've seen people say, well, why are you still doing this? Well, I don't want to let my teammates down. Well, you're going to let them down if you continue on an idea that's not going to work. Well, the reason why I want to do it is because I want to be successful. Well, that sounds vague. What does successful mean? And okay, if successful to you means money, well, wouldn't you want to be doing something that's more likely going to get you money, right? So I don't know. Know your why. Ask yourself those questions. I think that's it. That is it. Thank you, everyone. It was a little bit long. I hope you watched this. Lots of wisdom in there. Doesn't come from me. It comes from the universe and all the people who have experienced this. I promise. If you talk to a bunch of founders, they will agree with at least most of this, if not all of it, because these are just core foundational things that I've noticed in all successful entrepreneurs. Thank you. Have a good whatever you're having, day, night, afternoon. Just need to stop this recording so that way I can. Okay, I found it. Goodbye.